Japanese Art by Lindsey and Savannah Kawahata.
Ukiyo-e. Ukiyo-e prints are woodblock prints that originated in the Edo period. Similar to Western woodblock prints, for each color of ink, one wooden relief block is carved and used as a stamp. Ukiyo-e literally means pictures of the floating world. They feature flattened, stylized scenes of both nature and daily city life, with inspiration from Buddhist beliefs. They become fairly commonplace since they are easily reproducible and inexpensive. Ukiyo-e prints were used to make landscapes, the most famous of which is the Great Wave offshore at Kanagawa, one of Hokusai's collection of 36 views from Mount Fuji. They were also used to represent scenes with courtesans and theater actors.
Another type of Japanese art were crafts, and a specific type of craft was pottery. Pottery and porcelain were reserved for special ceremonies such as tea ceremonies. Potters aimed to give pottery a natural effect, so imperfections were valued. The first pottery came from the Jomon period, and it featured black bodies with coiled rope or matting decoration. After Jomon pottery came Yayoi pottery, and the bodies were finer quality and were usually red or gray with simple decorations. From the 3rd to 16th centuries CE, haniwa or clay circle figures of warriors, women, and horses were used in large tombs. After that came asuka and nara pottery, which were more sophisticated because they were made with wheels and fired in rudimentary kilns. Some pieces have smear glaze, and others have green, yellowish brown, or white glaze. Pottery, a lot of Japanese pottery gained influences from China and Korea. However, when contact was severed with China, there was a corresponding decline in pottery production. However, pottery production was later revived during the Kamakura and Muromachi periods. In addition to pottery, washi was also another common type of art. It was brought to Japan in 610 AD by Buddhist monks, and by the late 1800s, more than 100,000 families in Japan were making paper by hand. However, production declined due to greater interest in Western items. To make this specific type of paper makers would use the inner barks of kozo, mitsumata, and kampi, which are all native to Japan. The specific type of paper can be used for printing, collage, lighting such as screen and lamps, and bookbinding. A third type of craft were textiles. Textiles were around when the Yayoi culture was established around 300 BCE, but a recognizably Japan textile culture can be said to have begun in the Yamato period. Weavers and dryers used silk, hemp, rami, cotton, and other fibers, in addition to a range of weaves and decorative treatments to produce textiles. Textiles were used for clothing of both commoners and elites, banners, hangings, and other materials for use in temples, theatrical costumes, and domestic items.
Painting. The Japanese also painted using various mediums. Similar to Western churches, artists painted panels inside Japanese temples, including this piece, which was made using lacquer. It shows a narrative which represents a scene from the life of Buddha. Other mediums include ink on silk scrolls, which was used in this piece, which represents a scene from the Tales of Genji, a story which is heavily featured in Japanese artwork.
There are two different types of calligraphy, or shodo. Both are done using a brush that has been dipped in ink. The roots of shodo are thought to have come from Chinese Buddhist monks. The first type of shodo is chuwatai, which uses a mixture of kanji and hiragana. As for the second type of shodo, it is called rementai, which uses purely hiragana.
Contemporary art. Similar to Western art, Japanese art has expanded and evolved over time. Japanese artists now use many other, more modern methods, including screen printing, sculpture, and performance art. The most famous Japanese artist is Takeshi Murakami, who is known as the Warhol of Japan. He was born in 1962 and uses a combination of fine art and pop culture with bases in anime. He has successfully merged high-end commercial art, and his accomplishments include a collaboration with Louis Vuitton. He was made famous by his 1990s show, Superflat. His artwork typically includes anthropomorphic flowers and a character of his own creation named Mr. D.O.B., who is inspired by characters such as Mickey Mouse and other stylized animals. His artwork includes screen prints, sculptures, paintings, and murals. His pieces mix traditional Japanese art with contemporary style and pop culture. Another famous Japanese artist is Yoko Ono, who was born in 1933 and is known for her performance art and marriage to John Lennon. Her most famous performance is Cut Piece, in which she allowed her audience to cut her clothing in an attempt to show the destructive nature of humanity. Another of her works is Wishing Tree for Liverpool, in which she attempts to spread a Japanese tradition of writing down your wishes and tying them to a tree from the festival of Tanabata. Another contemporary Japanese artist is Chiharu Shiota, who was born in 1972. Her works include performance art and large installations of yarn web that she makes. She learned under Mariana Abramovich, who heavily influenced her performance art. One of her pieces which was heavily influenced is Try to Go Home, during which she fasted in a hole for 4 days. One of her more famous pieces is The Key in the Hand, which she presented in the 2015 Venice Biennale and features hundreds of house keys from people around the world suspended by red yarn. These are our sources.